is Jasmine Bush, and I am here today to talk with Lauren Breland, who had served 3 years in the Peace Corps and Thailand's youth program. And I want to discuss diversity within the Peace Corps, and being that Lauren is a triple minority, she is an African American woman and a senior citizen, I would love to see her perspective on it. Can you describe some highlights from your service?
My highlights were actually throwing a 1 week life skills camp for the youth because all of our youth went to school outside of our community to 8 different schools. So that was special. I received the John F. Kennedy Service Award for my work in Thailand as a Peace Corps volunteer. Um, I made really good friendships, uh, family, family. I developed family over in Thailand. And I think just being available and the places that I've seen and the things that I had done while there, while working with the organization.
Can you describe your life after service?
I am waiting for to complete paperwork in order to continue serving as a Peace Corps volunteer over in Jamaica. I would depart for 2 years, March 18th next year, working as a English instructor for 6 to 12-year-olds and some teacher training and working with parents, helping them to be a better partner with their child's academic experience.
Describe your cultural, ethnic background, and/or identity.
Culturally, I'm every woman under any kind of situation, should it be necessary. African American woman, black woman, negress. uh, Also, over 50 crowd, um, female, woman, young lady, old girl, uh, clown.
Oh my god.
uh, I cover a wide spectrum.
Did your background impact your service in any way, and if so, how?
Um, I think what impacted me would be from a positive perspective. Uh, I think it still stands to this day in America as a minority. You have to work 10 times harder
Mhm.
than a non minority for progress or anything positive happening or to push forward or for any kind of recognition and things of that nature. So I think just that leaving here with that work hard ability and the knowing that you just have to do so much more than anyone else. And so I took that mentality and that work ethic into my position in Thailand.
What are some ways you were able to share your background with your host community?
Well, they heard my music blasting every day. On weekends, it went for 10 hours. They know about P Funk, Parliament Funkadelic, disco, rock, Broadway music. So they all, that uh, sharing of my music, uh, my culture. Um, but I think more than anything else, what I was able to do was to establish relationships with all different types of people. So I think I appreciate more the fact that all different types of people from all demographics, all socioeconomic levels within my village were very comfortable with me. And I could strike up conversations with anyone. And so I think that being a New Yorker in that regard helped me a lot, living around a lot of different cultures. And then I worked with AFS, the Student Exchange Organization, and worked with youth, high school students from over 50 some odd countries, placing them in homes for a year. So those experiences. I would ride my bike, going to the store, wherever we had to take our bikes for day to day transportation or for particular purposes. We couldn't ride cars, couldn't drive cars or motorbikes. And so we had to ride a bike. I never had a problem with stopping on my bike anywhere I saw a large crowd. And I ran into a lot of different situations like that, met a lot of people who realized, oh, well, maybe we should invite her to things like
Mm-hmm.
this on a more constant basis. When you first get to the village, they run you everywhere. And then after about 6 months, 8 months, or you do your first to them, you have to find your own way. Um, those types of activities. I was very strong with the female culture in my community. And whenever there's a funeral in any of the villages, it can go anywhere from, 3 to 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so the women all gather in the morning and they cook all day long, every day. And so I was able to really establish and bond through that activity. Um, and that was very helpful. Uh, and just whenever they said that there was an activity and we're going here, we're going there, I went. Yeah. Yeah. No pause. No pause. No pause button. I was rolling.
Did your service impact how you view or identify yourself?
No, probably strengthened or gave affirmation to my opinions in that regard, or my thoughts. Um, I've pretty much so been the same person throughout all my life and kind of understood who I was, so it had no bearing one way or the other.
How did your community benefit from having a volunteer with your background or experience?
They learned about planning. I had lots of meetings with plannings. They learned how I used each individual or region's strengths when we did
Mm-hmm.
different activities, uh, so that everybody knew they can, whatever your strength was, we can all come together and make something together on a whole. Um, Perseverance. I knocked on doors after
Mm.
hours. You, sweaty car. It's Lauren. Adi Chantangan. I need, I need. And 9 times out of 10, they delivered. Um, um, and about just really enjoying what you're doing. I really, uh, I smiled every day for one reason or another, even on my worst days. And I think that I taught them that as well. You can be in a rock and a hard place, uh, but you carry a smile, you'll go a little bit further every day. See, we're smilers.
What was your approach to handling challenges during your service?
I really had to pause because I have a temper. Yes. Uh, so I learned to um, maintain my passions. I didn't change up because they didn't understand what I was saying in the heat of some of my passionate moments. But I took the time to learn those particular words and come back to that. The challenges that I dealt with, I would really look to other PCVs maybe and have that discussion. I would go back through the materials and documentation that we had
Mm-hmm.
available from training and, back to my own experiences, my knowledge, my wisdom. And there's a lot of quiet hours as a PC volunteer. Normally, like after dark, unless you live with a family or something, it's kind of quiet because you don't really want to go out at night because of the dogs. And so you have a lot of quiet time in which you can really sit back and focus and think. And I think that I was able to think my thought process all the way through, come up with the initial thought and work through all of the steps. So when I approached it or was able to, when I was ready, I could apply
Mm-hmm.
uh, whatever plan or mission or rescue that I came up with for certain situations. Um, so I think that if I used anything most, I used my quiet time to really think without the distractions. Your mind will amaze you if you use it. Much love.
What advice can you offer to future and fellow volunteers?
Be committed as a volunteer first. There's a level of characteristics of a volunteer, and you really need to discover what they are and execute your duties on like that core five principles of being a volunteer, and then layer it with your skill and your enthusiasm, and your patriotism. We're representing our country, and you know don't do nothing your mother would slap you for in church. Cut that out. Don't do that. Behave. As best you can, and represent yourself and your country, because that's what it is.
What's the next step in your journey?
Um, I do want to continue my relationship with Peace Corps. I'll be doing a second year, as I was saying earlier, in Jamaica next year for 2 years. Um, I want to be able to finish giving at this kind of level, and then move back into my consultant business, working with nonprofits and community-based organizations and educational institutions, training, producing workshops, and helping guide and shape programs to be productive and resourceful to the communities which they serve, as well as their clients.
What are you currently reading or listening to?
I am currently listening to myself. Since home, I've been hitting the open mic circuit. I had, again, time in Thailand. I took some courses on Coursera for free. And then I was also practicing my open mic, uh, which I had just started, before I left for Thailand. So listen to this, because the name is proper. Let me lick my lips first, because my flavor tastes so good. Slow snapping my fingers and tapping my feet. Shaking on your tree till arms drop down in feet of me. Payment up front for services rendered later. Feeding you what your every taste craves for. My moist, mellow, melting mind madness, tantalizingly telling tawdry truth tales, daintily dropping delectable doses of impenetrable codes pulsating your mind along the hollow of your senses, touching all those sources real intense. With one mighty dip in Proper's ink pool, her juicy sapphire fast, thickening your tool, sucking on your bottom lip to sit back your quip, squatting on your stool, spoon feeding juicy words of you, making your nuts draw like promise writing with your straw. Got you. Listen to commands I tell like Pavlov's bell to feast off my sound of good and plenty. Swirling my lyrical lazy Susan, allowing you air entry. Sliding my inkwell between your knees to get a squeeze, have you begging like Oliver. Please. See, Proper's porridge is a silky throated tease. Get rich by soaking yourself in my sun, honey, to taste true wealth beyond money. Can you dig it?
I can't. Oh.
Have you eaten yet?